So we've had this kit from S&S Diesel for how long now?
Longer than it should have been.
Like, I feel like we got it as soon as we got this thing. And how long has Erin had this now? It's gonna be a year after we got back from...
In like August or something.
In August it'll be a year? Whenever we went to Canada last year. So we came home and we bought this like the week after we got home from Canada. She's been looking for one for a long time. Guys, this isn't like her Excursion. I mean, it is like her Excursion, but this is it's a conversion. This truck started its life off as a 2015 F-250 pickup truck. So there's a couple companies out there that do it. It's a conversion. What they do is you take them old Excursion and you take them whatever truck that you want converted, and then they take the two and put them together.
Pop rivet that thing together.
Yep.
With a little bit of glue.
Yes. So she finally found one. She wanted it. She wanted to pull the trigger on it. We went and looked at it, and I mean, it's pretty amazing. So that keeps her happy. After that, she gave the Brodozer to Aiden, because this is kind of, this is a little bit of both. So, but the motor does have a lot of miles on it. And well, I say a lot of miles. It's not a lot of miles for a diesel. What's it got, 180, 190 on it now? Which, too many to not have the DCR pump put in it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That is the mileage.
I know people that have 90,000 miles on it and theirs has went out. I know people that have 100, 120, 150, but definitely they normally go out before 200,000.
Usually they're at least weak, or at least making metal. And at that point, you know, then you're changing your whole fuel system anyways, because now your injectors have it in there.
Yes, and we don't want to deal with any of that stuff. So we called them up, we got their kit, and honestly, if you take what it's going to cost if you just drive this thing, what's it cost? 10 to 12,000 for a full, complete fuel system on these?
Yeah, about 10, 11 grand for everything, front to back, you know, cleaning tank, everything.
And you can get this pump right here for what? 2,500?
It is like $19.95 if you want to do it.
Yes. You know? But to have a shop do it, it's like what, $4,000?
Yeah, $3,500.
3,500 bucks. So it's totally worth it. And Monkey does this stuff all day long. So,
all day, every day. All
day, every day. So I'm just going to get in his way today while he's doing this and help him.
So what he's doing here, this thing has a 6.7 in it, and they came with the CP4 pump, correct?
Yeah, I should have talked about
that. The CP4 pump was the same piece of junk that was in like the Duramaxes and everything else from like 2011 to whatever.
So that tear up and go through your fuel system and all that.
In America, I guess is where the main problem is, because other countries still have lubricity in their fuel. Yes. Well, these here in USA, it doesn't. So the pump wears out quick, and you just have a big mess on your hands. So S&S makes this conversion kit. Monkey's going to tear the top end of this motor apart and put it in there.
It's very simple, very well instructed. If it's something that you have any sort of mechanical skills, you can do it. If not, we keep these things in stock because we do so many a week. But
it's a great engine with a crappy fuel system.
It is exactly what happened.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason, guys, that we went from her old Excursion to this one. I mean, first off, this one is not leaf spring all the way around, and it drives amazing. It rides a lot better, so much better than the other one does. And the 6.7. We didn't have any problems with the 6.0. I'm not a big 6.0 hater. I liked it. It ran great. It's still running great. Hell, we sold it to one of Erin's cousins, and they
driving it everywhere.
They love it, which we did too. But this one is just a step up. I don't know if we've ever shown the interior or anything, but it's a step up from what it was. This one's the King Ranch, so it's got the nice interior. It's pretty cool. She loves it and drives it, and if we let her, she would drive it every day. But again, the reason we got the Excursion in the first place is to go to New Mexico and back, and But we are going back to Canada again this year. We haven't really talked about it yet or figured it out or have a game plan, but last year we drove the Excursion up there. Wouldn't mind maybe doing it again this year. Just kind of depends on how it all works out. I guess we need to find a ladder. And I've never done one of these before, but I would start by taking this off.
And that is exactly where I would start with the grounds and the battery. You always disconnect the batteries. But the second thing is 100% that air box.
I feel like I can handle that.
It's not far off. And then, you know.
And then just start pulling stuff apart, right?
Yep.
We got to get down to
the very bottom of the valley. So the upper intake.
So all this part of the intake has to come off.
Yep, upper
All this
intake,
comes
lower
off.
intake.
So basically
charge pipes.
everything you did to Sean's dually plus about 30 more minutes.
Yeah, maybe, well, once you get in there, then you pull, you know, your fan comes off the front, your fan hub, vacuum pump, which,
Right now we got to take the fan off?
yeah, eventually, not right now, we got to do it after the intakes and everything.
Man.
So the pump, the gear for the CP4s on these, where a Duramax, the gear stays on the pump and comes out. Well, Ford made the hole too small. So the gear has to stay in the front cover. So you got to pull the vacuum pump off, take the nut out, and then that gear stays sitting in there. Then the pump comes off the back of that. That's the only downside
Damn Fords.
to these CP4s versus a Duramax CP4.
So when you do this DCR conversion, is it still a good idea to do their fuel saver system too, or does that pretty much eliminate the need
No,
for
it eliminates it, and it doesn't even work with
Yeah,
this.
that's what he told me on ours.
Because the actual fuel supply and return lines change location just a little bit, so now that relocation block won't even fit in all of this. So it's all kind of built in the way that it reroutes the return fuel in the pump. It doesn't reroute it back into everything, so it almost is built into it.
Nice.
Other than that, it's just a lot of nuts and bolts, a little bit of time.
At least it's not all rusty and stuff.
No, I was about to say, it's clean, and obviously, you know, it's been worked on before, so it's been comes apart. It'll be a nice, easy one. I have had some that are not nice and easy.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's usually the ones that people, you know, take apart and don't install it all back together correctly. You know, too tight on bolts, wrong to bolts, cross-threaded bolts. Yeah, we get a couple of those in every once in a while.
I bet.
It adds quite a few hours on the things. But we'll get up on top of here and start.
Well, that's quite a few hours. That the bolts that
people,
break.
yeah, people cross-threading bolts or putting wrong bolts in, or breaking bolts. Because,
What was it that you couldn't get off of on mine?
Ooh, that is the.
You just want the grounds off of this?
Yeah, just the 2 8s on the ground.
It's an 8.
The EGR tube that bolts on top of the manifolds, from 11 to 19, they have a tiny little 6mm bolt that's, just seizes in there. Sometimes you get lucky and they come right out. Sometimes, well, you're drilling them out, and they are not easy. ProMax makes a kit to drill those broken bolts out. Pretty nice. It helps, but I actually broke it on Sean's. That is the most fragile piece of plastic.
What is?
Where this coolant
I'll
line,
break it for sure.
oh yeah, where this coolant line goes on top of that metal tube right there.
Oh, nice.
That little,
This guy?
oh man, you're ballsy.
I mean, we're gonna break it anyways, right?
I'm gonna try not to. Other than that is the intake tube. This intake tube, they're super soft. I mean, you can see how soft that is, and they're just glued together.
Oh yeah.
They break into pieces, especially on people driving down the road, out of town, down the highway, and whenever it does.
No worse than like a 01 Chevy truck that just goes into the heater core, right?
Man, it's kind of just like that, but
Okay.
smaller.
Yeah, those break all the time too.
Yes, but yeah, this thing, it'll blow off, and then you have no boost, so it's just smoking, running like crap. Can't move. Hoping you can find the very first. We actually had a couple of shops. There's a lot of aftermarket companies. We use ATS. They make a phenomenal piece for that. But for people that are stuck on the road and don't have that option, we actually had a couple of trucks come in with a Dorman part number that is metal with a small coupler. It's a really nice piece for being able to get it at a parts store. So if you ever are stranded and you need that, there is an option out there at your local parts store, not a dealership. The ATS, they make a phenomenal piece for that. But for people that are stuck on the road and don't have that option, we actually had a couple of trucks come in with a Dorman part number that is metal with a small coupler. It's a really nice piece for being able to get it at a parts store. So if you ever are stranded and you need that, there is an option out there at your local parts store, not a dealership.
Save a little money.
Yeah. And save time.
I figured this just kind of popped in.
Man, it's probably bolted in, to be honest.
Ugh.
There's
What a
probably...
mess. All right, well, I'll go
I was
ahead and
about to
pull
say,
all
you may
this
pull
off
that
then
off.
and pull the deal out. It probably needs to be changed anyways. Look, I've never had it off.
You may blow it out.
Yeah.
That is the paper cartridge S&D, which filters better than the cleanable, but it's not cleanable, so you have to change it every time.
Somebody lost the right bolt.
And nobody's been in this engine messing around. If they have, they did a really good job at covering their tracks. And whoever changes the oil likes to dump a little bit of oil on everything.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get some lights stuck up on this thing and some ladders. Where is our stuff? I don't know, we may put power in these and see what arcs by the end of the day.
I was gonna turn the lights on, but I remembered step one
Step one,
to unplug the battery.
get rid of all power. No shorts.
I mean, we're getting close.
Halfway there. Vacuum.
Did you bring this monkey?
I did.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I tried to only bring power tools because I think sure the shop got the rest. And it's fairly simple. 8, 10, 27 for the pump nut, a couple of screwdrivers, some clips.
27 might be a problem. Maybe not.
I think he's got it in there in the
Dust. Is that the one that we're gonna break?
No, this is the one that we are currently trying to not break. Temperature change must have had a little. There we go.
I started it this morning too. Drove it in here.
Loop that thing back into there. Boom. Good. Only other thing I was thinking about is probably be a good idea to change all the fuel filters while we're in here.
Okay.
And I mean, surely it's all the same stuff.
What size is that monkey?
Is what? 8?
It's an 8.
So wobble 8. I hope so, because I planned on it. You can see your intake, how nasty and oily.
Yeah, inside there?
Yeah.
You talking about inside?
Here,
Yeah.
and then it goes through and goes into your,
Soot.
so soot, and I mean, this is pretty wet oil too, so.
What's that mean?
Probably your crankcase vent. Your turbo may be sucking a little bit of oil out of the crankcase area. A little here, a little there.
How many miles?
$180?
Oh, it's not bad. Miles? I think it's 190 something at this point. Aaron's
I'll probably catch you by the end of the year.
Aaron's put a couple. She's put quite a few miles on it since we
What
got
were you
it.
taking off with that thing?
What?
What were you taking off with that? I don't know that I've ever seen anybody in existence using 11 30 on anything.
Oh, I don't know. It must have worked, whatever it was.
I was about to say, that's why I'm confused. I'm like, great, what do I not know about these things?
We'll figure out what that broke off of later.
No, I almost wonder if it was one of the pieces like this is already blown up once, and that was just one of the pieces of
Pretty
plastic.
fucking oily in there, isn't it?
It's all oily in there. The only downside to being oily, and it's really not bad. I mean, it's just kind of settling in. But the way that the intercooler works is there's rubber layers in there. With oil, it starts to swell up and restrict flow. So that's the main downside. You can get, No Limit Fab has a decent aftermarket intercooler. They have two. They've got a really nice billet, expensive one. Then they have the economy friendly that's, just a fabricated piece that is substantially nicer.
Never see those again.
Those things, you just never put the small ones up there. This is one thing that I hate on these fucking trucks.
Who's that?
That's the crankcase where it clips on to your intake. The newer ones don't have this nice fancy twister. They have one, but it's kind of you have to cut some tabs to get it to really twist or use. 3 picks. Well, from here at least you can see your pump.
Can you?
Yeah, this is your pump down the valley. Getting closer.
Do you have to pull the turbo off or no?
No. No. You're supposed to pull the coolant feed line to the turbo off. Just because the high pressure fuel lines go underneath it.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yes.
Which is easier, Duramax or this? Or are they about the same?
Man, honestly, I would say this is easier because to do a fuel pump, you got to pull the Y bridge out of a Duramax, and it is worse. I'm gonna say it's worse. Oh, somebody's already done a new vacuum pump gasket. Man, should have done a DCR whenever they were in there.
Is this conversion relatively new, or has it been around since pretty much the 6.7's been around?
No, this is, man, I bet it's a year, maybe a year and a half old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's fairly new. It's the same thing like the 20 ups, the EGR bolts into the manifold. In 20, Ford went to an 8mm bolt instead of the 6mm, so they don't have the problem with them breaking off anymore either. Or they're just new enough that they're not stuck in there yet.
Haven't been heated and stretched and shrunk.
Every single time.
All right, Monkey's got the old CP4 out, right? CP4.
CP4. Junk.
DCR, good.
DCR, nice cast iron housing now. It's good. You can tell just by lifting it how much heavier it is.
Weight is sign of reliability.
Yes, sir. You can obviously tell your fuel lines, they're close, but just far enough away that they send all new hard lines to mount up to everything.
Really?
Your in and out fuel, this is the main difference is, how it goes into the main body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why these don't send trash through everything the way that these do. For anybody that buys a new kit, we actually just got one in the other day that you can see on this one that there's a timing pin. Well, for the first generation of these, they don't have a timing pin. So in the instructions, they'll tell you to line up your shaft straight down, put it in, torque everything down. But the new ones, we actually just got one in the other day that has the new timing pin in the shaft, so it makes everything a whole lot easier, smoother.
The new DCR pump has this pin in it.
So there's no guesswork on your timing of your gear.
That would be nice. Didn't they kind of narrow it down also to some of these that were going bad were out of time?
I've pulled a couple out that have been a tooth out, and
Wasn't mine in my Duramax one of those? Or
yes,
what? Yeah.
It was, yep.
I mean, it still made it to 300,000, but.
And it's simple. I mean, everything's hardware, everything's printed out. You know, once you get it out, just clean, and then clean some more. And then put that crap back in. The only other thing that is something I do for these is there's two studs that mount this. And the mounting points of them are different, so they send you a new bracket. So the original mounting point is the factory stud here. You take the studs out and then you put a bolt in here, and then it comes with two new studs. Well, those studs, they're not really studs, they're bolts, and they go in from inside the front cover and they stick through, and then the nuts bolt on that direction. Well, it's not advisable to put a socket inside the crankcase to try to take those out. They are just a 15, but if that thing falls down in there, you got to pull the entire front cover off that engine.
Oh man.
But these little extractors, it's an 8mm deal, they go onto those studs from inside the valley, and you can actually unscrew those studs in, and then once you pull them out of the inside of that, where the gear, basically the vacuum pump hole, and then everything's nice, simple, and easy. So that's
pretty neat.
That's the only thing that we've been doing to get those studs out, and it makes a world of difference on simplicity of things. There is instructions on these that you will Loctite the thread, but the actual face on anything that's chamfered flange, they actually want lube. They want oil in there. Like the LS Cam. The reason why those strip out a bunch, because of how tight this face has so much contact pattern that it just literally locks itself down.
Galled into the plate or whatever.
So in the instructions, it actually says to put a little dab of oil on that and then Loctite on the threads. That way, if you ever have to maintenance it or take it off, which I don't ever see why you would ever do that, they will come off pretty easy. Loctites on these. And it's it is a very well thought out, simple kit that goes together and comes apart pretty easy. Got the gear all cleaned up. The mating surface on this needs to be completely oil free. Same with the shaft for the pump, needs to be completely oil free. You know, slide that thing back in, make sure your timing marks are lined back up, which looks like mine are off. There we go. Got one down, two up. Perfect. Get your nut, clean that deal up a little bit, and put that thing back on there.
So do you need like special tools to do this or anything? Is there any specialty tools?
Honestly, the only specialty tools that I have that I use today are the stud extractor for pulling those studs out, which, you know, if you really want to try it, you can do it from the inside, or you can, you know, use vice grips or two nuts jammed together, whatever you want to do. Standard Torx bit, and then wobble sockets. You know, an 8mm wobble socket is
that the new one in already?
Yes.
Wow.
8mm wobble socket is what you have to have in your tool chest if you own a Ford and plan to work on it.
An 8 wobble?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Then you just hammer that nut on, or do you torque it, or?
You know.
Yeah.
You may go back and look. You may go look back at the instructions and see what they say.
Yeah.
I got a Milwaukee Impact. They honestly, they don't torque to a lot. I feel like 60-something foot-pounds is pretty much what I remember. But man, I just hit them real quick once, little, you know, one.
Give it a good
one,
wrap.
One UGA, 2 DUGA, and the next thing you know, they're in there and good, and
It just does.
yeah. Don't go insane on it. They're a taper fit, so they get pretty tight pretty quick.
So I know Monkey makes most things look easy, but like you would almost think you could do this yourself if you had to. Honestly,
I'm 100%.
I literally just went to the store to get, you know, those parts.
Yeah.
Which it's, you know, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, but
Yeah.
damn.
I mean,
it was happening quick over here.
Yeah.
and they say, so this coolant line goes to the turbo. I hate messing with those because this rubber always gets messed up. This is your crossover, your high pressure crossover line. It goes from this rail to that rail. I just unbolt it and slide it all the way back up against the turbo. It's completely out of the way. You don't have to bend it. You don't have to do anything. Snaking the one high pressure line from the pump up is the only thing that's a little bit difficult, but you disconnect one injector and then move this fuel line up, or the wiring harness up, and everything's out of the way. It's simple, easy. Yeah, there ain't much difficult to it besides, you know, just.
Y'all done? Does it work? Oh.
You didn't say you wanted it to work.
Yeah.
You said you wanted it there.
That wasn't part of the specification.
Where is your stuff? There it is.
So he said there's bolts in there. Where's that bolt at, Monkey?
These two here.
Yeah. So these are what hold the old pump on, and you got to get those out. And like they get messed up when you get them out, I guess. Look at that. That thing's.
They are in there, but they go in. So behind the gear, inside the front cover, they go inside the front cover through the block, and then the stud part sticks out the back, and that's what bolts the
And
pump.
nuts.
So you got to send that thing back straight out through the front cover, and
So he's got these the extractor sockets he was talking about. That's what he uses to spin them out.
Yeah, this one is bent good right
Yeah.
there. I mean, this one is too, but I
Yeah.
don't like that one. Huh.
Man,
No,
they
I-
would be fired up here pretty quick.
I know that I said that I was going to do a whole lot of this, and I truly believe I'm the only person that believed that. But then once he got in here and started working, I felt like how we are at the races. You know, like everybody's got their job.
Yep.
And if you step in, you kind of throw a wrench in that whole program. And that's, you know, even though I don't like just sitting back and watching,
Yeah, it's
you know, I didn't want to get in here and get in his way.
he probably appreciates it.
Oh, yeah,
honestly.
for sure. I know he does. He's just being nice and not saying nothing right now. He gonna get back to work this week and go, man, Sean stayed out of my way. He didn't bother me."
It was great.
It was one of the smoothest installs ever.
Yep.
not a problem one.
Yep.
So do you have to retune this thing or anything, or?
So it is a no tune required pump. There is tuning out there if you want to get, like if you're trying to go fast and get an efficiency
Yeah.
type of shit, like you can crank this pump up quite a bit more than a factory pump just because of the supply volume.
We're trying to get fuel mileage and just
and longevity.
Keep Erin
Yeah,
happy.
just
Yeah.
go.
This thing already runs great for the
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Like
That's good.
it doesn't need to run any better than what it does now.
But, you know, essentially once you go in there, you reset there is some tables in there for how it learns the original pump. It's your high pressure learn tables.
Yeah.
Reset that, let it relearn all this new stuff, and then she's good to go. And that's it. No, it is a fairly easy, quick install. And this is why I said you gotta have a
Oh yeah.
8 wobble to
baubles are so nice though. What time did Monkey start this morning? Because Doc is asking. So
It was afternoon, wasn't it, Monkey?
Well, I don't think he got here until
It was
It
right
had to
at
have been right at 12, 12:30.
Yeah.
I know.
So he started about one. You know, he don't start on anything for about 30 minutes
Yeah,
before
yeah.
he gets here and wanders around
Gotta
and
wander
talks
around.
and picks some things up and looks around.
Yeah.
Inventory, stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what, no more than 5 hours? Kind of taking your time, if that?
Yeah, if you
it's
were-
4:30 right now, and it looks like he's clearly on the home stretch.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you were a newbie, that's where I'm at. Like, 5-6 hours, you should be done.
and Doc is a diesel
Diesel
mechanic
mechanic,
anyway.
that's where I was at.
You know what I mean? So
Someone told me for every 10 bolts you take out, you'll leave one out.
for every 10,
Yeah.
I believe that. But I, feel
think it
like
was you that told me that a long time ago.
I feel like it's also there's a scale there because
Yeah.
there could be 5 things and I leave out one,
Yeah.
or I could do 10 things and put all of them in there.
Yeah.
So it probably once you even it all out, it's probably
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
It's an average deal.
Yeah, that averages out.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're doing too, though.
Yeah.
Like if you put a fender on a car, there's gonna be 3 or 4 of them that get left out.
Or bell housing bolts, if there's 5 of them,
Man,
4's
hey,
good,
look, you know me, I like to put all the bells in, but you don't.
Nope.
I mean,
No.
like the
I do on the Hemi, that's about it.
I was about to say the last LS that I did, and I try to do it on all the iron block stuff. I'll drill out that other.
You do?
Oh yeah.
Do you really?
Not this
Oh,
guy.
man.
I drill and tap
not
it.
only that one, he'll leave another one out.
Dude, my 4L80 was held in with 4 bolts the whole time.
Yeah.
I did put all 5 of them in when I put the 400 in it, though. You'd be proud of me.
Yeah, but then the first time that you take it back out,
Probably.
you won't go back in.
Probably. Because I'll be in a hurry.
The only time that I get every bolt in, like the bell housings and stuff like that, is whenever I made them together outside the truck.
Yeah. When I did that new transmission in my little red truck, I put all of them back in, even the top one. You know. But that's because the motor mounts were real saggy and it was
Yeah,
you know.
I almost fell out of the truck.
Yeah.
So if you got to look at these tires, do you think your buddy wants them?
I don't know. I've been
Totally
feeling-
fine with I think Monday or something, I'm gonna take this to Mustang Alignment and I'll have them put the new ones on it. And then if he wants them, for sure, let me know. I won't just leave them there.
You know, Sean does bring up a good point. We got some new Nitto tires for this deal. These were on there.
The old ones, they still got a lot of life left.
Oh yeah, lots of tread.
I think right now, if you took these and put them on the back, I think everything would be fine.
Yep. So we got some new Nitto, what are these, 35s? 35 1250 Ridge grapplers.
Look, I've learned something over the years of trying to make your wife happy. Just keep her in new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's nothing wrong with these, and these right here would get another 20,000 miles out of them.
Yep.
You know, that's just me guessing.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know that. But I know back in the day, I would go and buy a set that looked like this.
Oh, for sure.
I damn sure wouldn't be trying to get rid of a set that looked like
Yeah.
this. But now it's like, do I really want her to bother me with
gotta
being
think
on the
about
side
it.
of the road, being on the side of the road with maybe even a nail in this one or whatever? I don't want to deal with any of that. Yeah, I could get a nail in these too, but
It never fails. Every time I get a new set of Nittos, first week,
I
man,
did
a
that
nail.
in the dually too.
Yeah.
Remember?
Irritates
Then one of
me.
the valve stems had a bad O-ring in it.
You know,
Ugh. Who knew that you could rebuild the valve stems now?
yeah, you rebuild everything.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, they're not that bad, but they're kind of at the point where I have rotated them once since we got this, and it quietened them down.
Yeah.
Because they were raw for a little bit.
Yep.
And I don't like that.
No.
So it'll clearly ride better with this. I also don't think it'd be a bad idea for us to climb underneath this thing and pull the drive shaft out and
Grease her up a
grease
little.
it up. Yeah, I'm thinking that's part of what the thump is every
Yeah.
time you take off.
A little slop in the drive line.
So, other than that, she loves this thing and she loves it, which
Yeah.
I like it too.
No, it's a cool truck.
I'm not trying to lie to nobody.
Yeah.
I really do like it too.
It's a cool truck. I like the King Ranch stuff. Their leather's always been cool.
Yeah.
And this thing was just pretty well taken care of.
Yeah. And in my opinion, this needs to be trimmed.
Yeah.
Like it needs a gap in here, the same gap as what this one needs to be.
Yes.
And I know that you could just put that on a lathe and probably just trim one side. I think you could just trim this side right here and it would be fine.
Yeah, so you can see how it
touches each other right there.
Like it's angled, right? So this side's angled here. You could just...
Well, it's because this came off of a tailgate, and those guys just...
See, I figured they just made their own, but it could have. I figured they just...
I don't know. I don't know what
that
the
to be
King
true.
Ranch stuff does back then, you know, with the older
Yeah.
body style. I don't know if they say the Off-Road Syndicate Edition.
No, this is the Off-Road Syndicate was the name of the company that makes them, right? Or no?
Makes what?
The Excursion.
No, this does.
Oh.
This is by Tim. Custom
Autos by Tim.
That's it. Custom Autos by Tim.
Yep.
Tim is the guy here in Guthrie
Tim?
that owns Cabot. I think that's... Do you pronounce that Cabot?
I don't know how.
Oh, okay. I think that's what it is, but...
So a guy here in Oklahoma actually builds these.
Yes, in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Guthrie, America.
If anybody remembers, we went up one time to... remember when we almost killed Varley?
Yeah.
Remember when we about
I
knocked
remember.
Varley out? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was his place. Come
That
to find
salvage
out,
yard place?
that was the guy that runs this. That was his property and stuff up
No
there that
kidding.
we had that at, and I had no idea. If I would have known that guy built, and somebody could have told me, and I probably
Weren't interested in.
you know, off in my own world.
Yep.
I would have liked to have looked around this place.
Yeah.
But when we bought this, we reached out to them. I guess Dave and them are buddies, and he reached out to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, no, we for sure built that." They couldn't tell me much about it, but we went and looked at it. It's very nice, and we know that we obviously like the Excursions.
For sure.
We had that other one for how many years, and I
A
liked
while.
it. Man, it was amazing.
Yeah. It was
And the 6.0, I don't care what anybody says. Don't care what anybody says, man. The 6.0 is a good motor.
It was. It ain't no hot rod. You know what I mean?
Man,
But
that thing
it
ran
did the
good,
job.
It sounded good. We
The
didn't
whistle
have
was the
no
coolest.
problems with it.
You know.
So,
Yep. It was.
but this thing's cool too. This one has airbagged in the back to where you could just push a switch inside and it raises and lowers it. And it's a real weird deal. The airbags are back here in the back, and then it. I don't know, man. It's weird. It literally just lifts the back of the leaf spring up. It's still a leaf spring in the back. So it pivots, and whenever it airs up, it does this. And then it pushes the leaf spring down, which raises the height of the vehicle. It's pretty weird.
So this thing's ready to fire up?
I'm gonna prime the fuel filters. Now that we got power back. The opposite of our first step is, put our battery connection back on, kick the key on, let the filters prime while we put a little bit of coolant back in it. Since I had to change that upper radiator hose O-ring, we lost quite a bit. But other than that, she is just about ready.
Is it time?
It is time. I got the road pressure fit pulled up. We primed it for a while. Road pressure's running good.
Bruh. That's always fun.
Man, the 6.7s are nice and quiet, aren't they?
Yeah.
Everything good? Top this baby off with some coolant.
Yeah.
Right here for GM vehicles.
Some Ford guy's losing his absolute mind.
That's all right.
Now they have a Ford specific yellow that's in all the new vehicles that, you know, I don't like to mix coolant, so.
That what was in this was orange though?
Yeah.
I don't see. You see a line?
It's the tank, as soon as it goes to clear plastic, it's a line. An inch up is the max,
That's gonna take this whole gallon, huh?
and then maybe a little bit of water.
I don't remember seeing you pour anything out of it.
We sucked it all out with the shop vac. Yeah.
Must have been one of them other things that I missed.
Yeah.
That thing sounds good.
Man, why does it do that so bad?
What, the turbo?
Just the back surge.
That's the coolest part.
Like the turbo back surge?
Yeah, did you hear it? Whenever
Yeah.
you shut it off, it goes.
That's the dual boost. It's just that style of turbo.
Go
Yep.
ahead and turn the switch off.
Yeah.
Just as we suspected, Monkey made pretty quick work of the DCR conversion.
Light work.
And this wasn't done to enhance this thing's performance. This was just to ensure longevity of.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This thing probably shouldn't run as good as what it does.
It does
anyways.
run pretty good.
Well, and I, as I get older, my foot doesn't have to be in everything anymore.
Yeah.
And I get it, man. That's a shitty way to live.
I don't know, man. I like my nice.
But also, if I hot rod this thing around, knowing it's not a hot rod and it breaks, ugh,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to hear about breaking Erin's favorite
Oh, yeah.
car, and then I'm gonna have to get Monkey over here to fix it, you know, and it's a whole chain of things, and
You know, and you know them tire strokes ain't cheap.
who wants to deal with any of that? So I don't care as long as this thing lasts, and like you said, that's what it's for. It's to last. I want this thing to go another 200,000 miles easily.
Yeah.
Even though it would probably take us forever to do that, considering we only use this thing a couple times a year.
Yep.
That's why it wasn't gonna bother me. Now, if I was looking for a daily driver, I wouldn't want something with 200,000 miles on it. But finding one of these that doesn't have that many miles on
Yes.
it, you're gonna pay stupid money for.
Yes.
And we got a pretty good deal on this one, I felt like.
It was still pretty good money.
Well, yeah, it was good money, but it was good money spent.
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah.
It was
This is a hell of a deal.
cheap for, or not cheap for one of these. It was a good price for one of these, but it was still good money in the grand
Yeah,
scheme of things.
this was, and it's gonna blow a lot of people's minds because I've seen people, like even on posts of these things, like you can find them anywhere around $80,000. And people are like, you're out of your mind. And then the people who know what these things actually are like,
And then 10
"Have you
minutes later,
priced
it's
these
marked as
things?"
sold.
And then the next thing you know, it's for sale, or it's sold. I gave 55 for this one. He wanted 63.
Man, at one time, wasn't it marked at 80 or something like that? I remember you guys looked at it a long time before you
We
bought
looked
it.
at it, and it had been on there for quite a while. And I was like, "What? There's got to be something wrong with it, then, you know?" And then he was like, "Look, I'll take 55 for it." And we went and looked at it, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "There's got to be something pretty messed up for me not to go ahead and just pull the trigger on
Yeah.
this," because it was cheap. You can't find another one that cheap.
Yep.
So
Yep. So S&S DCR conversion done less than. I mean, it took Monkey like less than 4 hours. I feel like a normal anyone with any kind of mechanical skills could 5-6 hours, taking your time, watching some YouTube videos, making sure you do stuff right. Like Monkey said, he didn't really use any specialty tools besides that stud extractor kit and an 8 wobble.
I feel like I missed out on the only thing that was, you know, not just cut and dry
Yeah,
on this.
yeah.
Because looking at those bolts, man, some shit happened.
And it was literally 30 seconds is what it took him, but you know how Monkey does.
Yeah.
So, but this thing's ready for service again.
I think we're going to drive it today.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, cruise it around a little bit before we put it back up. I know she enjoys driving it, so
Yep, it's a cool truck.
if you don't watch her, though, she'll start dailying it again. And then you got to go,
Yeah, come on.
what are you doing?
Come on. Yeah. go drive one of your other SUVs.
Which, whatever, I don't care. If she wanted to daily it, I'd be cool with it. And if something happens to this motor, we put another one in it.
Yep.
So that's the good thing about the older vehicles, man, is I don't know that with as many horror stories as you hear about everybody with brand new vehicles, why would you want to buy something brand new anymore?
I don't know that I'll ever have another new vehicle.
I don't know
Got a
that I
bunch of
don't know that I
customers that
ever
have sold their newish vehicles and bought much older because
Yeah.
they come to the same realization that
This
I
right
don't
here?
want anything new.
This right here, if anything ever happens to this motor, we'll put another one in it.
Yeah. Like
Call
you
it
have the groundwork for a vehicle that'll should be yours forever. No
And that's
matter.
what Erin told me. She said, I don't know if you told me right now, brand new, whatever you want to buy, there's nothing that I want.
Yeah.
So I know it ain't a Range Rover because that thing is a money pit per
Pile
Range
of
Rover.
junk.
It's a pile. There's something wrong with it right now, man.
Of course there
You
is.
pull up to a stoplight, man, and you can tell it's not idling real smooth.
Did that
There's no
service light come back on? No. It's probably fixing too.
Yeah, something is going on.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for the Excursion, the King Ranch Excursion. We're going to take it out, drive it around, and enjoy it for another
Where did you find those?
couple 100,000 miles.
Side of the passenger seat and back.